ladies and gentlemen, and as you all will read this book and read Double Cross, you will find out, and what we're discussing is really conversations that your dad, Chuck, has had with you concerning the involvement of Sam and all of these activities. So, you know, and you brought up the fact that by believing this, hearing your father tell you, was it a little incredulous at first, when you first heard it from your dad?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you can't help but, you know, just sit there in disbelief that could this really be happening in our own government? But when you start to see the pattern that existed, it can't be denied. And I felt that, you know, not only was my father talking, you know, get this information from his brother, but he also had the benefit of talking to men he grew up with from the time he was a small boy who you know, instead of becoming factory workers, became a killer, you know, or worked or worked for Sam in a book joint. So people that he knew well, that were trusted enough to be able to say, yeah, you know, we took care of that for your brother. You know, things that made me believe even more that he had enough information to really convince me.
Bobby Kennedy.
Well, Bobby Kennedy was a victim of Sam Giancana. His hand was all over that murder. Specifically, my father had a conversation with Chucky Nicoletti, who was a killer for Sam, in 1969, and Chucky mentioned your brother was at it again, referring to the Bobby Kennedy murder. And when you look at that particular event, you have a man who is considered a lone gunman, Sirhan,
similarities,
you know, who starts firing all these shots. My father finds out that the hotel is controlled by the outfit. They're able to get certain security men in place in the last minute, at the last minute. This man, the security guard, is of Hispanic descent, with ties to Mexico. My uncle was in Mexico at the time. You also have a man in Sirhan who was in debt for gambling to the mob. So you start to look at this, and it just has a great similarity to a lot of other events. And we talk about other events, not only the assassination of President Kennedy with the lone gunman concept, but even going back to in the 1930s, when we talk about the mayor of Chicago, who was Anton Cermak. He was riding in an open car with FDR in Miami, and a lone crazed gunman named Joseph Zangara opens fire. Everyone thinks at FDR, but was really intended to kill Anton Cermak. He did, and we find, the people in the know, that this man was brought to the United States and worked within the sugar industry, in the sugar distribution, for Diamond Joe Esposito, who was the boss of Chicago. So you start to see the same MO occur, and you start to say, you know, when are we going to smarten up?
That is something that amazes me, in that there is a group of people, and for you, this has got to be difficult, because you know it happened. There is no doubt in your mind. I'm sure if you looked lie detector test right now, you would say, yes, I believe that. Do the American people, now that they've had a chance to read, as they get the chance to read your book, will the American people believe you? Do you think there's enough evidence or credibility that you're the public? Do you believe yourself?
Well, I think it's going to be up to the individual. I think for the people who believe some aspect of this world that existed between, you know, our government and organized crime, I don't think any explanation is necessary. I think they believe, you know, that this comes together. For the non-believer, I think there's no explanation sufficient that's going to make them believe it. And I feel like if I produced a smoking gun, I think if our government produced a document that said, here are the people who assassinated the president, here's how, there'd be 50% of the people say it's fake, and the other 50% of the people say, I believe it. So the problem is we can't believe our leaders. Our leaders have lied to us on many occasions to save their own hide. Are they going to tell us the truth about this? Certainly, agencies of our government have lied to protect their own situation. So, you know, we're left with a situation where, who are we going to believe? And we feel that, you know, we had proximity to the man who the FBI, the Justice Department, the CIA all pointed towards. And it was not only involved with Hollywood celebrities, the government, was employed by the government to assassinate Castro. You have the links that make it almost, we're at a point that we had access to maybe one of the few individuals who knew so much going on. So hopefully they can take this information and at least look at it with an open mind.
We're going to be coming back in just a moment. We're going to talk more Marilyn Monroe and whether or not it is still going on as we return to Sam Giancana, Double Cross. Don't go away.